Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well today. There's a lot happening in the country right now, and it's especially important for millions of Americans who depend on Social Security. The ongoing government shutdown has created a wave of uncertainty, and it's not just about politics, it's about real people who rely on these checks to survive. For over 70 million Americans, this is not just another headline, it's something that affects rent payments, groceries, medical care, and peace of mind. And now, even the routine Social Security cost of living adjustment, what we call COLA, has been thrown off track. Usually every October we get an official announcement about how much Social Security benefits will increase for the next year. This increase helps retirees and disabled individuals keep up with inflation, meaning as prices go up, their checks get a small bump too. But this year, because of the government shutdown, the Bureau of Labor Statistics wasn't able to release inflation data on time, and without that data, the Social Security Administration couldn't calculate the COLA. So instead of being announced in mid-October like usual, it's now pushed to October 24th. At first glance, a delay of a week or two might not sound like a big deal, but for seniors living on tight budgets, that uncertainty matters. Many people plan their entire year around this adjustment, figuring out how much they'll have for rising rents, medical bills, and food. Even a short delay can cause anxiety, especially for those who have no financial cushion to fall back on. And this year's increase isn't expected to be very large. Experts predict around 2.7 to 2.8%. For the average monthly benefit of around $2,060, that's only about a $54 increase per month. Now let's be honest, $54 might sound like something, but with today's cost of living, it doesn't stretch far. Food prices have gone up, utilities are higher, and housing costs continue to rise in nearly every state. For someone on a fixed income, $50 might cover a tank of gas, a week's worth of groceries, or a prescription refill. Every dollar counts. For millions of seniors, that small increase could mean the difference between paying for essential medicine or cutting back somewhere else. But this situation highlights a much deeper issue: the fragility of the Social Security system itself. The Social Security Administration has been struggling for years with budget cuts and staffing shortages. In fact, the agency has lost about 12% of its workforce in recent years, which means around 7,000 fewer employees to handle phone calls, process claims, and keep up with the massive workload that serves over 70 million people. Many offices are now short-staffed, leading to delays in everything from processing new applications to resolving benefit issues. When you combine that with a shutdown, it's easy to see how even routine operations, like calculating COLA, become tangled in red tape. This isn't the first time Social Security recipients have faced uncertainty. Back in 2010 and 2011, there was no COLA increase at all. Prices were rising, but checks stayed the same, and that hit millions of people hard. Over time, without regular adjustments, benefits lose their purchasing power fast. Imagine receiving $2,000 a month in 2010 without inflation increases. That money would buy almost half as much today. So even a modest annual adjustment is critical to maintaining stability for older Americans. But there's another complication people often overlook: Medicare. Every year, Medicare premiums rise, and they tend to eat into that COLA increase. For 2026, Medicare Part B premiums are expected to rise by more than 11%, or around $21 a month. So if your Social Security check goes up by $54, you'll only see about $33 of that in your pocket. When you add in rising food, gas, and housing costs, that small increase can quickly disappear. Now many people are asking, why does this keep happening? Why is such an essential program tied to so many delays and political fights? The answer lies in how inflation is measured for Social Security. The government uses something called the CPIW, or the Consumer Price Index, for urban wage earners and clerical workers. But that measure doesn't truly represent what older Americans spend their money on. It focuses more on working households, not retirees. Seniors spend more on healthcare, housing, and medication, things that often rise faster than general inflation. That's why some lawmakers have been pushing to use the CPIE, or Consumer Price Index, for the elderly. This would better reflect seniors' expenses, and could lead to slightly higher COLA increases in the future. But despite years of debate, Congress hasn't made the change. And now, with every shutdown or political standoff, the same problems repeat: delays, confusion, and fear among the people who depend on these payments the most. Beyond the technical side, this situation raises a larger question about trust. More and more Americans are losing confidence in the reliability of Social Security. Recent reports show that the Social Security Trust Fund could run out of reserves by 2034 if no action is taken. That doesn't mean benefits will vanish overnight, but it does mean they could be automatically reduced by about 20%. Imagine losing 1/5 of your income in retirement after planning your entire life around that check. Now, to their credit, the Social Security Administration and the Bureau of Labor Statistics are working hard to minimize the current disruption. Some furloughed employees have been temporarily called back to complete the inflation report needed for the COLA announcement. Officials have said they're confident that the October 24th deadline will be met and that benefits for 2026 will be paid on time. That's the good news, but it's still a short-term fix. Calling back workers just to finish one report isn't a sustainable solution. It's like patching a leak instead of fixing the pipe. The deeper problem is how frequently these shutdowns happen. The current one stems from disagreements in Congress over how to fund the government. Some lawmakers argue that stricter budgets are necessary to protect programs like Social Security for the long run. Others say these cuts and shutdowns do more harm than good, especially when they disrupt essential services people depend on daily. And in the middle of all that political tug-of-war are millions of seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities who just want stability. For many, Social Security isn't a bonus, it's their primary income. It pays for rent, groceries, and medical bills. When checks are delayed, or when COLA increases don't keep up with inflation, the impact is immediate and painful. And yet, despite everything, most beneficiaries show incredible patience and resilience. They've lived through multiple shutdowns, budget cuts, and times when the system nearly failed them, but they keep adapting. Still, that doesn't mean things should stay the same. Many believe it's time for the government to establish stronger safeguards that protect Social Security from political gridlock. It's not just another line item in the federal budget, it's a lifeline for millions. There's also growing support for modernizing the system, improving customer service, expanding digital tools for seniors, and adjusting the formula to reflect real-world costs. These steps could make a big difference in how reliable the program remains for future generations. So, what happens next? All eyes are now on October 24th. That's when the final inflation data will come out, and we'll know the official COLA increase for 2026. Even if it's not a large number, it will at least provide clarity for the months ahead. But beyond this year's figure, the real concern is whether the system can remain strong and dependable in the years to come. Because one thing is certain, millions of Americans depend on these benefits not just for income, but for peace of mind and dignity in retirement. So, what do you think? Should Social Security be protected from shutdowns altogether? Should Congress finally switch to a formula that better reflects seniors' real expenses? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below. This conversation matters because it's not about numbers or politics, it's about people's lives. Thanks for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.